Welcome back to the channel, guys. Usually we're doing a bourbon review or a scotch review. Today I got something a little bit different. It's a Japanese whiskey. So I actually happen to have two whiskeys from the Nikka distillery in Japan. And the first one we're doing right here is Nikka from the barrel. Very unique bottle. They make these in the 500 milliliters. This one happens to be a 750, even though it doesn't look like it would be 750 mils if it was, filled up bottle. But that's what we got today, guys. Check it out. Nikka whiskey from the barrel. So coming out of Japan, very cool looking bottle, very minimalistic bottle. It's got a screw top on it instead of the cork. Really not much written on these two little gray squares on the front and back. There's it just says Nikka from the barrel, Nikka whiskey from the barrel, and it says 51.4 ABV. So it's kind of up there on the proof. And then there's a little Japanese writing on there on the front and back. It's a cube, and you would think that not 750 milliliters of whiskey would fit into here, which is weird. They do make a 500 milliliter bottle, but this is the full bottle, 750 milliliters. But very, very weird, very unique bottle. Not my favorite, but it's unique. So it gets points for uniqueness. I like it. So a little thing about Nikka, or this actual bottle. When I first looked at it in the store, I thought I was getting a cask strength version of a single malt. I never had a Japanese whiskey before, so I was like, a Japanese single malt. It ran $70, $75. I was like, man, I'm gonna pull the trigger on that. So I picked it up, looked up some stuff on it before I even opened it, and I found out a whole bunch of stuff. Like doing research, it's not even a single malt. It's actually a Japanese blended whiskey. Did a little bit more research and found out not only is it a Japanese blend, it's not even all Japanese whiskey. They actually put Scotch whiskey into this too. So Nikka actually owns Ben Nevis Distillery in Scotland. So I'm sure they put Ben Nevis in here. It's obviously single malt whiskey from different places, and then blended whiskey, grain whiskey. So there's grain whiskey, there's single malt, Japanese whiskey, and single malt Scotch. So there's two different distilleries that Nikka owns. They have a Yoichi, which is like their peated whiskey distillery, where they make mostly peated whiskey. Then Miyagiku, which is their unpeated whiskey distillery. So most of that stuff in here probably comes from their two distilleries. Probably Ben Nevis, and then who knows where else. It says 100 components, and there's not 100 different distilleries in Japan, so there's no telling. And they're very secretive about what went into the whiskey, but that's neither here nor there. It depends on what it tastes like. So color on it, it looks like a natural color whiskey. They don't really tell you a whole much about if it was natural color. It doesn't say whether it was non-chill filtered or not, but I'm probably gonna say it probably is chill filtered. It's very clear, but the color looks like it would be a natural color, but there's no telling. Like, it kind of looks like a younger bourbon or a decent aged Scotch. So let's get into the nose, guys. Very, very sweet right off bat on the nose. It's 51.4 ABV, but that doesn't come off on the nose. It's actually, you get a slight little astringency, but it just comes off very sweet. Caramels, vanilla, malty sweetness, almost like a malty cereal sweetness, and you get a little bit of a like orange peel, kind of citrus peel note, and now lots of oak back in the background. It's got a distinct oak note, though. Oak note. A little bit floral. Let's get into the taste, guys. Immediate sweetness off that. So right whenever you taste it, you're getting the caramel and vanilla that you would from like, it's almost like very, it's single malt tasting, but it's very bourbon-esque. So you're getting caramel, you're getting vanilla, very malty cereal grain notes, like almost like a turbinado sugar, like very sugary kind of taste to it. But it's a distinct oak flavor that tastes like, obviously, nobody's putting Lincoln logs in their mouth. But when I was a kid, I used to play with Lincoln logs. You're just smelling the Lincoln logs. It has like an old log cabin kind of feel to it. Like a cut wood kind of note to it. It's weird. It's not like a regular oak barrel kind of note to it. But it's good. It's like walking in an old oak cabin with all these sugary sweetness notes to it. You do get a little hit of that citrus peel also towards the finish. Pretty decent finish for the whiskey too. It's got some staying power. It lasts for a little bit. It's probably that the higher ABV probably kind of has a good little probably gives the finish a little bit staying power. You know what I mean? Good little whiskey. I've got a couple of Nikkas. So I've had 3 bottles of Nikka so far. I had this one. I actually bought another bottle of this because I really like this whiskey. Nikka Miyugiku and Nikka coffee grain. So Nikka coffee grain, it's hard to describe, when it comes to Japanese whiskey. What makes Japanese whiskey different from like single malt, so regular single malt scotch, or a bourbon for that matter if it was made in Japan? With this one being a blend, you kind of get the feeling of both of them, but the only thing I can say the difference from Japanese whiskey to Japanese single malt to Scotch single malt, it tastes very similar, but the Japanese whiskey has a cleaner kind of note to it, cleaner taste, which is weird, and the oak taste has that clean taste to it. It's hard to describe actually using notes, tasting notes. It's only like what it feels like, almost like an essence of the whiskey. So the Nikka coffee grain whiskey, it pretty much is a Japanese bourbon, and just tasting it, it had all the bourbon notes, had the corn, kind of the caramel. You get your cherry notes, vanilla, all that stuff, all the bourbon notes, but it wasn't rough around the edges. It didn't have that dusky corn note, that dusty old, American, straight up rough around the edges kind of taste. It was clean. It was a clean finish. All the notes were there, but it was a clean kind of polished bourbon flavor, which was weird. And I think that's what makes the Japanese whiskey. This one has that. It tastes like almost like a blended like Scotch whiskey, but it has like a cleaner kind of note to it. Like it's weird. It's different. And to me, it comes off as like I said, like almost like Lincoln logs it reminds me of, or just like cut wood, but like old antique cabin, I guess. And that's what it gets from it. It's different though. It really is. And from $70 to $75 a bottle, I would recommend that as a first Japanese whiskey. But I like this whiskey. Couyons rating on it. I want it to go 7.50, but I'm gonna go 7.75 on it. I like it. It doesn't quite reach the 8 for me. It's good. It really is good. But I like it. It's got a good proof to it. I think that has staying power. I think is the proof. Which if it was a little bit anemic as far as like if you went 86 on this, or maybe even 92, it wouldn't have the same effect. It actually did really good on the online Scotch Whiskey Awards. Like it won best blended whiskey or best world blended whiskey I think it was best blended whiskey. I mean, it's good whiskey, you know. But that's what we got today, guys. 7.75 on a Nikka whiskey from the barrel. So this is the first Nikka whiskey I want to do. The next one we're gonna do that Nikka Miyugiku. So check us out on the next one, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.